Okay guys, I just wanted to make this video to show you that I have sold all my assets, excluding two small categories of assets. Okay, so right now this is the S&P 500. Okay, basically the US stock market, the top 500 companies in the US, and it's sitting at around $700 level. Okay, if you look at the monthly basis, the chart of the monthly basis, as you can see that it's extremely overextended. Okay, we are overextended, and I expect this to drop at least 20% due to the Middle East crisis. So as you can see, already dropping a little bit. Okay, and here I've sold my S&P 500 ETFs and all individual stocks except two of them. The number one is Lockheed Martin Corporation, okay, LMT, and another two other war stocks. So why I didn't sell war stocks? The reason is simple: Middle East crisis, and because countries like the US and Russia, they're basically prone to initiate proxy wars. Okay, once and every time they initiate proxy wars, these stocks always go up. Second reason is that if a country like the US or Russia or any other country that has these type of stocks collapses or is in the verge of collapse, they tend to invest more on defense. So what happens to the stock? It goes up. Either way, the stock goes up. So war stocks, number one, I never sold them. I bought them in this range. I'm never going to sell them. And I expect this to grow over the next 5 to 10 years. Then I have not sold my Bitcoin. Okay, I actually bought more Bitcoin here on this level. It's crucial support. Okay, this level, which was previously resistance, now became support. Now it might go a little bit lower on the 50,000 area over the next few months, but I expect this to eventually bounce, okay, over the next years. And these are my target levels: 20% around the 90 to 100,000 mark, then 40% I'm going to sell in this area, and then eventually I'm going to buy again once the cycle repeats. So drops, resistance, buy, support, buy, then sell resistance again in partials. Okay, this way you can capitalize every single time there is a Bitcoin cycle. Same applies for S&P 500. Right now it's at all-time high. I sold all my S&P 500, and I expect a drop. Okay, the drop is going to be to these levels, either to the 600 level. I would say that's almost guaranteed, but again, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take my word. The next level will be the 520 level to the 500. So this is where I'm going to buy a lot more than what I used to hold. And then the next level will be this area over here, 370 to 400, which I don't expect it to go right now, unless there is insane crisis, economical crisis. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think this rate is going to drop here and then over here over the next few years, months or years, and then climb back up on the short, medium term. Now, why I say this? Because it moves in cycle as well. So here at 2000 crisis, 2008 crisis, it dropped over 50%, okay? And then it climbed back up. It dropped, COVID, Russia war, etc. Okay? So every time there is a war or a crisis, it drops. Then it goes back up. So you need to buy the dip to capitalize and make most of your investments. You can't just buy randomly. Don't buy all-time high. Buy on the dips. Then silver and gold. Okay, gold, I sold all my gold. Why? Because it's on the 5,000 mark level, critical resistance point. Okay, at the whole number 5,000. Secondly, because it's overextended, you can see the gold moves in cycles. Big spike up and then nothing for decades. Okay, big spike up, nothing for decades. Big spike up and it's going to be nothing for decades. Okay, so I expect gold to either stay on this level and drop, okay, and stay on this level for several years, or it could go a little bit higher over this level and then go back down. So I sold all my gold, and now I'm waiting until it drops to this level here. It might take a few years, okay, it might take 5 years, and then I'm going to buy and buy and buy, and then waiting for the next leg up. Okay, now gold is tricky. You can see if you bought gold here in the 80s and you held it for 30 years, you basically made no gains whatsoever. So inflation consumed your gold investments unless you held it for longer than 30 years, okay? So you want to buy when gold drops, okay? You want to buy when it's at the lowest point where no one talks about gold anymore. You don't want to buy it when everyone talks about gold, okay? Same applies for Bitcoin, same applies for silver, S&P 500, etc., and individual stocks. Now, silver is a bit different. Silver is more a pump coin, okay? Not really a great investment long term. So silver moves in waves, all the way up, then all the way down, and nothing for several years, all the way up, all the way down. Now, as you can see, it looks more like a meme coin, okay, for an altcoin, okay. That's how it moves. So this is why I'm not really bullish into silver. So I've sold all my silver and I'm out. Sorry, there's a bit of noise outside, some children playing right now. So this is my situation with silver. I might buy silver if it drops on around the 50 levels, just because it's a very strong price point, okay? And this was the previous resistance. So I will buy if it gets to this level. And then it might take several years for it to run again. So as you can see here, it took 30 years for silver with no price action. Then here, it took 15 years almost to basically climb back up, and make you a profit if you bought anywhere in this area. Now, if you bought in this area, you will have made much less profits than if you bought this area, okay? So this is the area where I entered during COVID. I remember during COVID buying during this drop, okay? Because there was a crisis. Now there is another crisis. Everything probably dropped and then it will go back up again over the next few years. Now, this is not financial advice. Don't take my word for it, but this is just my opinion. This is what I do, and I want to share it with you. So the last things I want to talk about are individual stocks. I sold all my individual stocks except war stocks, okay? Now, stocks related to war, I didn't sell because I think there is always going to be either small wars or large wars that are related to one big country, okay? Individual stocks like Tesla, okay, like NVDA, I sold them all because I expect the market to crash now, at least 20%, and these stocks tend to follow the S&P 500. So I sold in this area, and now I'm waiting. It drops, I will buy. Okay, I will buy in partials. I won't buy all my position in one go. Okay, I will buy in partials, and this applies to all my AI investments, tech investments. Google, Amazon, Spotify, Shopify, Netflix, etc. So as you can see, Google again, I sold in this area, and then it dropped, and I don't know for sure, but I expect it to drop with the S&P 500 around this level. Now, you want to buy these assets in cycles. You want to buy them when they drop. You don't want to buy them all-time high, even if you play long-term, because you can get it cheaper. You can get them cheaper. Don't be like Michael Saylor that basically buys Bitcoin randomly. He buys Bitcoin here and buys Bitcoin here, and then he gets, he gets a very high liquidation price basically. Now, Michael Saylor probably doesn't have a good financial investor, like financial investment advisor, or maybe I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to look at the graphs. He needs to look at the charts, how the Bitcoin price moves. So he needs to buy in during the dips. So here is a dip, buy. Here is another dip, buy. Okay, level of support, buy. You want to sell it during the run up. You don't want to sell during the run down. I know that 90% of people sell when they're panicking. They sell in this area. They sell in this area. Okay, this is what screws you long term. So you want to buy when prices are low. You want to sell when prices are high. Don't be diamond hands. Don't be just holding into your Bitcoin forever, because you can make way more money if you sell Bitcoin, gold, S&P 500 when they are on the way up, and then buy them again when they go down. Because the last thing I want to say is everything moves in cycle. Everything moves in cycle like this, okay? Nothing moves all the way up. If something like this moves all the way up, okay, straight line up, that's just a pump and dump, okay? If it does all the way up for several years, it will eventually go back down. So this is what you can see from previous history, okay? this is what happens when something goes all the way up for decades. Okay, it will go back down, as you can see. Now I'm gonna make another video later on about how the situation is going in the next few weeks, so I'll keep you updated on my next movements, basically on my next moves, on what I'm going to do with these assets, and also I'm going to talk about AI stocks as well, and some other investments.